What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and in this video I'm going to give you 10 teams, 10 college football teams that I think can win a national championship for the upcoming 2024/2025 college football season. So as you guys know, we got the 12-team playoff, of course, era starting up this upcoming season. I'm very excited for it to see 12 teams now in the playoff. The 4-team playoff, of course, was very, it's fun to watch, but instead of, just doing 4 teams, there's now going to be a 12-team playoff, and there's going to be a lot more matchups, and the season is going to go on for a little while longer. So again, I know everybody's getting really excited for the 12-team playoff, including myself. So with that being said, with the 12-team playoff coming up this upcoming season, in this video I'm going to give you 10 teams. I think there are 10 teams this year that I think have a chance to win it all and win a national championship for their program, again, for the upcoming 2024-25 season. So 10 teams. I'm going to give you 10 teams here on this list. These 10 teams I think have really high expectations for 2024, and they also have very talented rosters as well. Maybe a lot of experience coming back on their rosters as well. I just think these are the best 10 teams that have a chance to win it all this year. So, and from the rankings from 6 through 10, I feel like those teams have a little bit of chances, but with the top 5 teams, these teams have a really big shot to win it all this year. So let's go ahead and get right into it here with this list. We'll start from the bottom and work our way to the top, and we start here with number 10. Number 10 for me is Penn State. They were 10-3 last year in 2023. This might be the best, this might be the third best team coming up in the Big Ten this upcoming season, even though there's the Big Ten's going to be a lot different this year with no divisions, and then of course newcomers, including Oregon. I think Penn State is just right behind Oregon and Ohio State for that, top spot in the Big Ten. I don't think Michigan is right there this year just because of all the roster turnover, even though they're still going to have talent on both sides of the football. But you look at Penn State, a lot of experience coming back this year for this team. The offensive side of the football should be very good for them. The defense might not be the same as it was last year. This was a top 5 defense from last season, but maybe it's not the same defense. But either way, this is going to be a very talented Penn State team. The one game that they had to get through in order to probably win the Big Ten this year and probably get to the Big Ten championship. It wouldn't really shock me if this team did make it to the Big Ten championship, but the only game they had to get past is probably Ohio State. They get that game at home this year, so if they beat the Buckeyes, Penn State definitely could be probably the second best team in the Big Ten, right behind Oregon. I think as of right now, Ohio State is probably the favorite to win the Big Ten championship, and then maybe it's Oregon next, and then of course Penn State probably comes in here at number 3. So again, you look at Penn State, a lot of talent on the roster. Drew Aller will be back at quarterback. That's the reason why I think Penn State has a chance to win a national championship this upcoming season. So that's how they ended up being here at number 10 on this list. Moving on to number 9, we got Notre Dame. They were 10-3 last year. The Fighting Irish are not like a Power 4 team. They're an independent school, but I think that either way they're going to get to the college football playoff. This has potentially to be a top 10 team. I know a lot of people are putting them in their preseason top 10, just outside the top 10 as well. In my opinion, I think they are a preseason top 10 team. I know this is a team that probably could be overrated, but this is a team that I think could be really good on the offensive side of the football. Ryan Leonard, of course, the transfer from Duke coming in. How good is he going to be? But I think Notre Dame is definitely a playoff contender. They do have the talent to probably win a national championship, but we've seen every year that Notre Dame has kind of struggled in the playoff era. They did struggle when they reached the 14 playoff era, but this year it's a 12-team playoff. Anything can happen. I think the Fighting Irish do have a chance to be really good this year, and I think the defense will be pretty good as well. Marcus Freeman entering his 3rd year as the head coach for Notre Dame, coming off a really good year last year instead of 2022. Yeah, I think Notre Dame is a playoff contender. It's definitely going to be very tough for them to winning a 12-team playoff, but I think Notre Dame does have a chance to win it all this year for 2024. So that's how they ended up being here at number 9 on this list. All right, moving on to number 8, we got Florida State. This is the only ACC team, in my opinion, that I think has a real chance out of this conference to win a national championship this year. In my opinion, Florida State is still like the favorites to win the conference this year. Again, they were 13-1 last season. They do lose lose a lot of players from last year's team, but they absolutely reloaded in the transfer portal. We know how Mike Norvell is in the transfer portal. This team just absolutely reloads on both sides of the football. DJ Oagale coming over from Oregon State. He's a former Clemson quarterback. He does have a lot of experience, but again, he's had an up and down college career. How good is he going to be? Just like Riley Leonard, the transfer, of course, from Notre Dame and everything. So again, both Riley Leonard and like I said, DJ Oagale, how good are they going to be for both of their teams? But you look at Florida State. This is the only team, like I said, in my opinion, that I think I really can see winning a national championship. They probably could be that top team in the ACC this year, but there's really not a lot of teams, in the ACC that has a chance to win it. But you look at behind Florida State, there's a lot of teams, a lot of other teams out there that are not really far behind them. You got Louisville that potentially could probably win it all because they got some transfers coming in. Clemson, I don't know about them, though. I mean, Clemson doesn't really reload in the transfer portal. Clemson might have a really tough season once again, and then you got NC State and then Miami. Miami actually has a chance to probably challenge Florida State. Maybe they can probably end up going against each other in the ACC championship, and that likely probably could be deciding the top team in the ACC in the playoffs. So, but again, Florida State is my only ACC team here in this conference on this list. Again, I just think they're the only team that can possibly win a national championship. So Florida State here at number 8. Moving on to number 7, we got Oklahoma State. They were 10-4 last year, of course, runner-ups in the Big 12 championship. In my opinion, I think Oklahoma State might be the favorites to win it all in the Big 12 this year, maybe besides Utah, Arizona, but the Big 12 is definitely going to be wide open. But you look at the experience that Oklahoma State has coming back this year, a lot of experience on both sides of the football. They got their returning quarterback returning for a 7th season, and they got Ollie Gordon III, one of the best running backs coming back in the country this year. I think he definitely has a chance to be the number 1 top running back in the country, and definitely also a Heisman candidate. In fact, we might see a Big 12 team. I think the Big 12 is probably going to struggle in the college football playoff over the years. The first 2 years maybe. Same thing with the ACC, because both of these teams, Florida State and Oklahoma State, could likely have 3 or 4 losses, and we might even see like a 3-loss team as a number 3 seed in the ACC. Then we might see a 4-loss team in the Big 12 as a number 4 seed. So again, you look at the Big 12, it's going to be very wide open. Anybody can win this conference. I mean, again, Oklahoma State and Utah, I think, are clearly the favorites as of right now to win it all this year in the Big 12. But as of right now, Oklahoma State is number 7 here on this list. Again, they are my favorites to win the Big 12 as of right now. So I got the Cowboys here at number 7. All right, moving on to number 6, we got Ole Miss. They were 11-2 last year. You look at this Ole Miss team, Jackson Dart, of course, back at quarterback. That's definitely going to be huge for them. Defensively, I do have a lot of concerns, but, maybe Ole Miss's defense will be a little bit better. They did add some players from the transfer portal on that defensive side of the football, even though the defense has not been really good when Lane Kiffin's been here at Ole Miss. But you look at the offensive side of the football, no concern there. They did add some pieces in the transfer portal. The offensive line is going to be really good. The offense just overall is going to be very explosive. And Jackson Dart, again, back at quarterback, is huge for them. What Ole Miss has to do in order to make it to the playoff and maybe also make it to the SEC championship, I think they can make the playoff. This is definitely a playoff contender. They could probably get in there as a double-digit seed. But you look at the schedule, they have to play Georgia on the schedule. They also have to play LSU on the schedule, I believe. If they can get through those 2 teams, maybe they make the SEC championship. You never know. But again, the SEC is a very tough conference to play in, so I don't really know if the Rebels can make it to the conference championship, but if they do, well, just enough, maybe to win 10 games or something like that, and be ranked in the top 10, or maybe being a double-digit seed, they definitely can make the college football playoff either way. So Ole Miss here, I think they are definitely a playoff contender, but it's going to be very difficult for them to win a national championship. Again, this is what it's based off of. Again, based off of who I think is going to win a national championship this year. I think Ole Miss does have the talent to win a national title, but again, it really comes down to their defense. Again, the defense has to make some stops in order to really get the offense going. So again, Ole Miss here at number 6. Let's go to the top 5 now, and like I said from earlier, the teams from 6 through 10 I feel like don't really have a big chance, but the teams from 1 through 5 have a really big chance to win a national title. So let's go to the top 5 now. At number 5, I got Alabama. They were 12-2 last year. Of course, made the playoff in the Final Four team playoff era. You look at the talent on this roster for Alabama, it's there for them, but it's a new head coach. I mean, obviously Nick Saban, of course, retiring. That's definitely the big difference there. Kalen DeBoer, I think, is a really good coach. I think the future is definitely really bright for this team. But again, defensively is what I have concerns about for Alabama. That's what I said in my overrated video a couple days ago, where Alabama had a really young defense. This team lost a lot of production from the transfer portal on the defensive side of the football, but still, either way, Alabama is a playoff contender every year. They're a top 5 team because, again, it's Alabama. They're one of the top programs in the country. And again, Alabama is definitely a national championship contender as well. They do have a chance to win a national title. But again, new head coach. We'll see what they do here with Kalen DeBoer. Again, defensively, I do have some concerns there, but the offense, I don't really think it's going to be too much of a concern. The offense should be very explosive, and Jalen Milroe is back at quarterback. So Alabama here at number 5, chance to win a national championship in Kalen DeBoer's first season as the Alabama head coach. Moving on to number 4, we got the Oregon Ducks. Like I said earlier with Penn State and Ohio State here in Oregon, I think Oregon might be the second favorite to probably win the Big Ten Conference this year. They were 12-2 last season, coming up just short in the Pac-12 championship. But you look at this roster, there's a lot of talent on both sides of the football here for Oregon. Dylan Gabriel, of course, the transfer from Oklahoma and UCF. He has a lot of experience at quarterback, potentially a Heisman candidate. Again, I think Oregon's going to be really good on both sides of the football. This team has a chance to be very dangerous this year. And with the roster that they do have a chance to win a national title this year. They do got to play Ohio State and Michigan both on the schedule, but I think they'll be favored probably against Michigan, even though it's on the road at Ann Arbor. And then, of course, Ohio State, they may be a 3-point underdog in that game. I think playing at home, Oregon is definitely probably going to be favored. But again, that's going to be a very big game there. And, potentially Oregon might have a chance to go undefeated. I don't really know if they can do that. I think the Big Ten is definitely going to be a little bit wide open, but it's going to be really definitely a battle for that first place spot. Again, it comes down to Ohio State and maybe Oregon here for that first place spot, and you never know. Both of these teams probably will be battling for that number 2 seed in the playoffs. So again, Oregon, back to what I was saying, they have a chance and they have a roster that really can win a national title this year. Dan Lanning has done a really nice job for this team. So the Ducks here at number 4. Moving on to number 3, we got the Texas Longhorns. Texas, of course, heading into their first year in the SEC. They were 12-2 in their final year in the Big 12. Of course, won the Big 12 championship. And also, they are like I said they were heading to the SEC. But this Texas team, a lot of talent coming back on both sides of the football as we break down their roster here. Texas, obviously has an offense that's going to be very explosive. You look at the offensive side of the football. Quinn Ewers, of course, back at quarterback. You do return him. He led this Texas team to the playoff last year. This Texas team, I forgot to mention before, Texas did come up short in the playoff semifinal last year, but this Texas team has a really good chance to probably be the second best team in the SEC. That team in front of them is just Georgia. They do play them in the regular season, and if they can win that game, Texas might have a chance to go undefeated. But like I said with Oregon, I don't really expect anybody to probably go undefeated, maybe in the SEC this year, depending on the talent-wise between Georgia and Texas. But again, this Texas team has a lot of talent. Steve Sarkisian has done a really nice job here for this Texas football program. The future is definitely looking bright, and they're heading to the SEC in 2024. It's definitely going to be a very tough conference to play in, but I think the Longhorns have enough talent to where they can definitely match up with the top teams in the SEC. So again, Texas has a chance to win a national championship, again, with the roster that they have. Again, it's not the most talented, roster that they had from last year, but it's still enough of an experienced roster that they can win a national title with. Again, the offensive side of the football is going to be very explosive, and then defensively, I don't have any concerns about the defense, even though they lost some players there. Again, this is going to be a very talented Texas team. So Texas here at number 3. All right, number 2 is Ohio State. They were 11-2 last season. It was obviously a very up and down season here for Ohio State last year. The offense really struggled last season. The defense really was dominant. This year, I think the offense has a chance to be a little bit better. Chip Kelly, of course, taking over at the offensive coordinator position. I think that's definitely going to help out Ohio State just a little bit. You look at the quarterback position, Will Howard, of course, the transfer coming over from Kansas State. And, that's what Ohio State has done a really good job with this offseason. They have used the transfer portal, brought in Junkins, the running back from Ole Miss. In the last couple years, he was one of the top running backs in the country. And again, the offensive side of the football is absolutely loaded with talent. The wide receiver position doesn't really concern me, even though they lose Marvin Harrison. But again, the defense overall should be really good as well. Again, that's what the Buckeyes have done really nicely this season, is that they used the transfer portal. So that's really a good news there for this Buckeyes team. And again, Ohio State, with the roster that they have, they definitely have a chance to win a national championship this upcoming season. Can Ryan Day finally get it done? I mean, this Ohio State team has had some up and down years with Ryan Day. The last year's season was definitely a bit of a disappointment for Buckeye fans. But this year, I think it's going to be a really talented Ohio State team, maybe even a dangerous team as well. Ohio State does have, 3 tough games. They have to play Michigan. They have to play Penn State on the road and also Oregon on the road. So there's a pretty good chance that Ohio State might go 10-2, but I don't really see them going 10-2. I feel like they can probably win one of those road games and probably lose one of them. Maybe they go 11-1 and possibly make it into the Big Ten championship. So Ohio State here at number 2, but in my opinion, the next team on here on this list at number 1 has definitely been my favorite to win it all this year for 2024. And that number 1 team is obviously the Georgia Bulldogs. They were 13-1 last season. Again, the Georgia Bulldogs are the favorite to win the national championship. This team has a lot of talent coming back on both sides of the football. The roster is very talented. Carson Beck, of course, back at quarterback. This offense is going to be very explosive. I think they'll score a lot of points this year. Defensively, no concerns there, just like the Texas team. They did lose quite a bit of talent, but, Georgia does reload on the defensive side of the football every single year. So I think Georgia definitely has a chance to be a very dangerous team and definitely a team that's definitely going to be the favorite to win it all this year. And like I said, Georgia has been my pick to win it all ever since the offseason began, ever since the 2023 season came down to an end. I know I was choosing Alabama before, but, after Nick Saban retired, I did switch my pick over to, to the Georgia Bulldogs. And again, Georgia is my pick to win the national championship this year. They are definitely the favorites to win it all in 2024. So that is my 10 teams that I feel like can win a national championship this year for the upcoming 2024-25 college football season. Hopefully you guys are very excited for the 12-team playoff this season. I'm very excited for it as well. That's my 10 teams, again, that I think will win a national championship in 2024. So give me your thoughts on this list. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.